All right, picture this. Two men walk into the same situation, same circumstances, same stakes, same variables. One of the guys walks out inspired. He's motivated to change. The other guy walks out defeated, and he's telling anybody who will listen why things just never work out. What's the difference? It's not motivation, it's not discipline, it's not set strategy. It is something that runs in the background that most of us don't understand, most of us don't see. And it's the difference between what happens in your career, your relationships, who you become as a person, and what you're capable of. And until you see it, you're going to keep getting the same results and wondering why. Most of us believe we see things clearly. We're rational. We're level-headed. We see things as they are and we call it like we see it. And we fully believe this. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. It's not true. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I was pulling up in front of a busy shopping mall at 5 a.m. You couldn't pay me to do that now, but back then, almost 20 years ago, it was me in the driver's seat, my girlfriend, now wife, and my best friend in the back seat, and we were going Black Friday shopping. And it was one of those days that was just rainy. It was cloudy skies, it was gray, and it was rain splashing off dingy concrete. And this guy walks out of one of the entrances to the mall. One of the double doors swish open. This guy spills out into the rain. And when the rain hits his face, he looks up, and I'll never forget this, and he just flipped Mother Nature the double bird and stomped off to his car. And it was just surreal. Like, I could still see this guy in my head right now. If you did a police lineup all these years later, I could point out that guy. That's how much it's burned into my consciousness. I have never seen someone more pissed at Mother Nature. And he was just fuming mad. And so we had a laugh and we did our thing. And then I moved on. Years later, I'm standing in a busy vestibule, and there is floor to ceiling windows. I'm talking probably 10 feet tall, and it's just bustling with people. And this older woman walks up to me, and she just looks at me with a smile on her face, and she says, "How are you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing well. How are you?" She said, "I'm great. It's a beautiful day." Just this radiant smile. And I remember looking over her shoulder at that exact moment, and out through those windows is gray skies and rain splashing off dingy concrete. And right then and there, it was as if that guy from all those years ago was standing next to this woman, and he's flipping Mother Nature the bird, and she couldn't be smiling any wider. So the question is, who was right? Was it the worst day ever, or was it a beautiful day? And the only answer, of course, is yes. They were both right. And here's why. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. I want to submit to you that never once in your life have you seen a situation as it is. You have only ever seen it as you are. Everything you see passes through a filter before it makes its way to your conscious awareness. And that filter is your backstory, your upbringing, the environment you were in, the experiences that you had, and how they were translated to you as an individual. And all of that is collected into the filter that catches certain things in your experience and lets certain things through. And we all have a different filter. And that's what makes the difference between the guy who sees things and is motivated and inspired, and the guy who walks out frustrated, dejected, and with his head down, flipping Mother Nature the bird. So what does this mean? When you look at your partner, you're not seeing your partner. They are being filtered through you as the observer. When you walk into a meeting, you're not in the room, you are in your internal environment with all of its complications and strengths and weaknesses. When an opportunity arises, you're not looking at it objectively, which is why you might see an opportunity where other people see something to avoid. You are running everything through the filter of what you believe you deserve and what you think is possible, whether you realize it or not. All right, so let's make this super practical because I want you to be an agent of change instead of a victim of circumstance. So let's walk through a scenario and we'll have two versions of the same man, right? Same situation, two versions of the same guy. We'll call it version A and version B. And here's the scenario. A guy gets home and his partner looks him in the face and says, "We need to talk." All right, so version A of this guy is someone who hasn't really done the inner work. He might have read some books, he's listened to some podcasts. He's a decent person. As a matter of fact, he's highly successful on paper, but he's disintegrated. And by that, I just mean he's cut off from certain parts of himself. He's not quite sure what's going on internally. Before he even opens his mouth, his jaw begins to clench, his chest is tightening, his temperature is rising. It's all involuntary and it happens in an instant. His nervous system is registering this as a threat. "We need to talk" might as well be code for "you're in trouble. You're busted. We're done. What are you going to do to explain this?" And so he is automatically either on the offensive. How's he going to attack this? Or he's defensive. How do I back down? How do I protect myself? How do I deflect or just leave the situation entirely? And all of this is happening in the background involuntarily. Here's what you need to understand about that. That wasn't a choice. He didn't intentionally clench up. He wasn't intentionally shutting down internally. It just happened. Listen, who he is shaping how he's experiencing this moment. And I'm not making a moral judgment, just an observation. So what happens? Well, he gets defensive or he deflects. He either escalates or he completely shuts down, which cues his partner to respond the same way. And the conversation spirals. Nothing is productive. It either turns into a shouting match or absolute silence. The door is literally or metaphorically closed in one of their faces and it's over. The conversation shuts down. There's hurt feelings and then probably some brewing resentment that isn't going to be resolved. And he walks away just thinking, why does this always happen? A finger is now pointed either at that partner or at himself internally, and he doesn't want to face it, he doesn't want to acknowledge it, but now he's beating himself up for his response. All right, now let's run this same scenario through version B. Now remember, it's the same guy, but he's just a little further down the road. He's done some more inner work. He's by no means perfect, but he's more mature emotionally. He's evolved a little bit through intentionality. He's more integrated. And by that, I mean he's more whole. We need to talk. Now, listen, his nervous system still registers this, right? A flare goes up a little bit, but he's not overtaken by it. There's some space. There's a little bit of room there for reflection. In that space, something different happens. Version A saw an attack. Version B sees an invitation, an opportunity to lean in. His partner is going through something. And it could be to do with him, or it could be to do with a friend or family or something going on in the relationship, in her life, at work. He's not quite sure. All he knows is he cares about this person and he's going to give her his undivided attention. He's going to open up a space for her to share. And his primary goal initially is to listen. So what do you think happens? Well, as he remains open, his partner opens up even more and they share. And maybe it's complicated. Maybe it's challenging. Maybe she shares some things with him that he doesn't like to hear. She challenges him on some behavior or some things that she needs, but instead of shutting down, instead of lashing out, instead of deflection, he takes it in, he absorbs it. He doesn't necessarily even agree at this point, but he's there, fully present, and she experiences that. So it's a meaningful exchange, and it strengthens the relationship. Same scenario, completely different outcome. Dr. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, and he went through some harrowing, terrible things. And in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he captures this idea that has stuck with me from the first time I read it. He says, in between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is freedom and the power to choose. And this is probably one of the most quoted lines in personal development and in motivation, but a lot of people miss the real essence of that quote. It's not just saying slow down when something happens to you. Don't just immediately respond. Take your time and things will work out better. Now, there's something to that, but that's not the heart of what's being said here. Here's the question nobody really asks about that quote. What determines the size of that space in between stimulus and response? For version A of the guy we just outlined, that space barely exists. It is like this. And so something happens and boom, complete reaction. For version B, the space is wider. There's more capacity. It's not as if these things don't hurt or they don't register or he doesn't feel the pain or there's not a desire to react, but there's more awareness. There's more connection with self, which creates this expansive opportunity to respond rather than react. And there's a big difference between the two. Frankl isn't just telling us to use this space wisely. He's telling us this space is a function of who we are and the person that we cultivate. So everything that happens to us runs through three stages: perception, response, and outcome. And most men focus on the outcome. Things aren't working. My relationship's not working. Nothing ever changes. I need a different career. I'm going to work harder. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's incomplete. Some men are a little bit further down the road. They understand that they need to think about their response. I can't just respond in anger. I need to be more thoughtful. I need to communicate better. And that's great. That's growth, but it still doesn't get to the root. Version A of the guy in our imaginary we need to talk scenario didn't choose his response. It wasn't conscious. It happened as a result of what he had cultivated up to that point. So trying harder isn't going to get it done. And not only that, we don't see every opportunity in front of us when our filter is clogging our perception. If you want to change the outcome, you have to change the response. And if you want to change the response, you have to change the perception. And the perception is always going to be filtered through the person you are. Wayne Dyer used to always say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's powerful. I believe that to my core. But if you're going to change how you see something, you have to start with the observer, the person doing the seeing. So where does this work begin? Well, I can't think of a better place than humility. It comes with sitting down and just getting honest with yourself. I have been running my life under the assumption that I see things as they are, that I am level-headed, that I see the picture in front of me, and I probably see it better than everybody around me. And it comes to this realization that I have blind spots. There are complete rooms that are blocked off to my perception. I am in the darkness with a flashlight on so many issues. I don't know what they are, and right now it doesn't even really matter. I just need to take a breath and acknowledge there's some learning to do. There's some expansion to happen. There are some things that are being clogged in the filter of my awareness that someone else can help me see differently. There's an openness in this humility that says, you know what, I need to learn from other people. I need to have some conversations that I'm not leading, that I'm just listening. And that openness is how you find a light switch. And you turn it on, and all of a sudden, this room is lit up. Now, down the hall, it's still dark, and that room over there is dark, and that room over there is dark, and I don't know that I'll ever turn all the lights on, but it's a lot brighter in here than it's ever been for me before. That's where it begins. There is some power in the humility of acknowledging that I have never once in my life seen things as they are. I've never seen my relationships as they are. I've never seen my friendships as they are. I've never seen my career or my opportunities or my finances or my character or anything I've ever encountered as it is. I have only ever seen things as I am. And by the way, there's some strengths to that because your unique perspective, your filter means you see things completely unique to you. There's a creativity in you that no one else will ever access. There is perspective that you have to share and bring to the world that no one else can offer. This isn't about completely dismantling who you are. It's about slowing down to check the observer, to turn the light around on yourself and get clear about what that means. It's coming up to a situation, and instead of saying, how am I going to fix this? You start to ask, who am I being in this situation? Because if I address that, my situation might go away, or it might completely change, or I might be so empowered that even in the most hellish situation like Viktor Frankl was in, I can move through. I have the ability to hold on. I have the strength of character and resilience and determination that'll allow me to get through anything. There is freedom in understanding that between stimulus and response, there is a space. And no matter how microscopic that space may seem at times, within it is freedom and my power to choose. And if I zoom in within it, there's something to learn about myself. There's something to learn about my capacity. There's something to learn about my fears and my doubts and my hesitations. And if I just sit with it, if I just accept it, if I just acknowledge it without judgment, I have an opportunity to grow. I have an opportunity to change everything from the inside out. If you change the observer, you change the effect.